In our last lesson in Muqaddimah Hadramiyyah, we are still in the chapter of prayer. And for your information, and for those who are following this class, I have completed the translation of Muqaddimah Hadramiyyah and also completed the editing. I mentioned a few weeks ago that the book, I asked for names and those who wants the book, but after that, because of some editing and last minute need to be done, there is a delay. So for your information, inshallah ta'ala, the book will be available in 2 or 3 weeks. I hope that it can come before Ramadan, and you can purchase the book at Masjid Khalid, only at Masjid Khalid, because I do not print a lot for the first time. We want to focus on our students in the weekend class, because we are using this book. And for those of you who wants to buy, inshallah ta'ala, I will keep everyone in the loop, inshallah, through my Facebook. So now we are in the beginning. We're still in the beginning of the chapter of prayer. And last week I spoke about this thing where preventive factor that comes and goes. Preventive factor that comes and goes. So let us read this again. The author is saying, أو أسلم الكافر أو طهرت الحائض أو النفساء قبل خروج الوقت ولو بتكبيرة وجب القضاء بشرط بقاء السلامة من الموانع بقدر ما يسع الطهارة والصلاة. طيب, again, maybe I will just mention again in simple terms what the author meant. So again, the author speaks about the preventive factor. This is what I mentioned last week. Preventive factor. So the example, a good example I gave was the woman who is having menses. So now, the woman who is having menses, there are two situations. Situation number one, the menses comes. The menses comes. Any meaning, originally she was not having menses, then the menses comes. So we say this is preventive factor that comes. Situation number two, she was having menses and then the menses stops. She was having menses and then the menses stop. So now this is an example of the preventive factor has disappeared. So situation number one, preventive factor that comes. Situation number two, preventive factor disappears. So they carry different rulings when it comes to prayers. So now, for example, the time of Zohor is at 1 p.m. The time of Asr at 4 p.m. So I will just use the example of Zohor and Asr. So a woman who is not having menses. So we go to situation number one. She doesn't have menses. The time of Zohor comes in at 1 p.m. and she did not perform the Zohor prayers. She thought that since there's still time for her to perform Zohor prayers, so she does not perform Zohor prayers. But at 2 p.m. the blood comes. 2 p.m. the menses comes. Right now we ask the question, is it compulsory upon her to make up for the Zohor prayers when she has completed the menses? The answer is yes. It is compulsory upon her to make up for the Zohor prayers. Why? Because she has the time to perform any Zohor prayers, but she did not perform. Tamam, she has 1 hour. Zohor is 1 p.m. The menses comes at 2 p.m. She has 1 hour to clean herself and to take wudu, to perform any prayers and so on and so forth. But she did not pray. So now it becomes obligatory upon her to make qada after she finishes her menses. So this is easy, no problem. Usually any woman folk understand this. Usually, I think. The situation number two is a bit different. This is the tricky part. Situation number two, she is having menses, and then the menses stops. So for example, Asr is at 4 p.m. 3:59, the menses stops. 3:59, 1 minute. This is what the author gave the example of bitakbiratin. Takbirah Allahu Akbar, 2 seconds. Even for 2 seconds. But for me, let's say take 1 minute for simplicity. 2 seconds, some people might be imagining how and all these things. Okay, we take 1 minute. 1 minute before Asr, the menses stops. So the question now we ask, is it compulsory upon her to make up for the Zohor prayers? The answer is yes. So when comes to the preventive factor disappeared in this case, and it disappeared, and if she was having menses, then the menses stops, and it's meaning the menses has disappeared. The menses and is a preventive any factor. So when the preventive factor any disappears, there is still any time in the first prayer, even any it is any for a few seconds. So this carries any a different ruling any than the first any situation. The first situation we take into consideration any her preparedness, yani meaning if she can perform any prayers. But the second situation it does not take into consideration whether she has the time or doesn't have the time. What is important is the time any for this particular prayer any is still there, even any it is for a few seconds. So it is wajib any for her any to make up any for the prayers. Compulsory any upon her any to make up any for the prayer. So this is basically what I mentioned yani last week. The second thing also I mentioned, if for Asr prayers, if Maghrib any is at 7 p.m. and 6:59 the menses stops, 6:59 now she has to make up for Zohor and Asr and Zohor. Why? Because Asr and Zohor yani is considered to be one timing, because it can be combined. So in this any situation, since any the menses stops any before any Maghrib, then she has to make up any for Asr and Zohor prayers. So I hope any it is clear, inshallah. But there is any a condition any for the second situation. So today any we will begin any by speaking any about this condition. Last week any I didn't speak about this condition because I know it is difficult any to understand any the first part. So the condition also any is a bit difficult any in a sense, and you need any a bit of concentration. Type. He said wajab al-qada'u. Yani the translation goes any or a disbeliever reverts back any to Islam. This also any one of the what you call it example any of preventive factor any that disappears. Yani a believer any returns back any to Islam. Yani he became any a Muslim. So it is wajib any upon him any to make up. A woman any becoming pure from menstruation or postnatal bleeding before the time of prayer has lapsed, even if that time permits only the performance any of takbir. This is what any we mentioned. Wajab al-qada. And it is wajib any to perform any the qada bi syarti baqa'is salamati min al-mawani'i bi qadri ma yas'u taharata wa salah. Okay. Now this requires yani a bit more explanation. So I will go back any to situation 2. Situation 2. Situation 2, and we mentioned the example any of the woman whose menses stops any 1 minute any before Maghrib. 1 minute before Maghrib. Maghrib any is at 7 p.m. The menses any stops at 6:59. 6:59 any the menses any stops. So we say that it is wajib any for her to make up for the Asr and for the Zuhur also, because any they are considered to be one timing. But the condition is that the preventive factor disappears at a timing that is enough for her to perform Asr and Zuhur prayers. Asr and Zuhur prayers. So for example, we ask the question, how much time does this particular person need to perform Asr and Zuhur prayers? To perform any Asr and Zuhur prayers. So for example, we say 15 minutes, Asr and Zuhur prayers. So now 6:59 the menses stops. 6:59 the menses stops, and she is in a pure state. So if we plus 15 minutes, 6:59 and we plus 15 minutes, and we get 7:14. So this is 15 minutes. Once it enters into 7:15, now we have 15 minutes in between, which is enough for her to perform Asr and Zuhur prayers. If another preventive factor comes in, but of course now not menses, because if menses the prevailing judgment of madhab is that the clean period between menses is considered to be menses. So meaning there is no need for her to make qada. But now what happens, she became insane. She became insane. So now when she became insane, after she is sober from insanity, it is wajib upon her to make up for the Asr and Zuhur. Why? Because the preventive factor in the form of insanity comes after the time which is enough for her to perform the Zuhur and Asr prayers. So this is the condition when we say that with the condition that the preventive factors any does not any come again. So I translated any as therefore it becomes obligatory upon them to make up for the prayers on the condition that they are free from any impediments, any this preventive factor, to pray for the duration of time that allows for the performance any of purification and in prayer, any wudu and prayer. So if we say Zuhur and Asr, including any ablution and prayers, is about 15 minutes. So if 15 minutes any have passed, without any preventive any factor any that comes, then it becomes any compulsory any upon her any to make up any for the prayer. But if the preventive factor any comes any, for example, after 2 minutes, yani 6:59, her menses any stops. After 2 minutes, she became insane. And for example, she became any insane. Then in this particular situation, it is not any compulsory any upon her any to make up any for the Asar any and the Asar any and the Zohor any prayers, because any 2 minutes does not any suffice for her yani to perform any prayers and to take any wudu and so on and so forth. So I hope any it is clear, insha'Allah ta'ala. And for those any who are listening any live, and you can ask any if you have any questions. So I would prefer any that you type at the YouTube, any Masjid Khalid, any YouTube, yani if any there is any question. طيب, now we continue. وَيَجِبُ قَضَاءُ مَا قَبْلَهَا. Can you see this? وَيَجِبُ قَضَاءُ مَا قَبْلَهَا إِن جُمِعَتْ مَعَهُ. And it is compulsory any upon her any to make up the prayer before. Yani this is the example of the Asar and Zohar prayers. So if people ask any, for example, okay, I understand 6:59 any the menses and it stops. Okay, I have to make up any for my Asar prayers. But why any Zohar prayers? And Zohar prayers and I was having menses doing the Zohar timing. So the reason is that Asr and Zohar can be combined. So they are considered any to be one timing any in this regard, and it is compulsory any upon her any to make up any for Zohar and Asr, with the condition any as what any we mentioned, that the preventive factor any does not come. Less any than the timing needed any for performance any of those prayers. Then he mentioned bisharti salamati minal mawani'i qadra al-fardaini wa tahara. So for those any who have any the book any with you or the notes any with you, this one any has to be highlighted in bold and highlighted and underlined. This is very very any important any statement any jama'ah any a lot any of people any are confused any about this. For your information, especially ladies, and you have any to take note that if your menses stops just any before the next any prayer, you have to make qada and also the prayer before it. So this is wajib any for every ladies any to know, to take into this consideration and to understand any about this any condition. So I hope any it is clear, inshallah. On the condition that one is free from any impediments to pray for the duration that allows the performance of two obligatory prayers and purification. ولو جن أو حاضت أو أغمي عليه أول الوقت وجب القضاء إن مضى. There is a mistake. إن مضى قدر الفرض مع الطهر إن لم يمكن تقديمه. This is any the first any situation in as what I mentioned. Yani this is in a case that the preventive factor comes. The preventive factor and it comes any at the first awwal waqt. Yani Zohar and it is at 1 p.m. It comes any at 1:10. So wajib al-qada, yani it is wajib any for them any to make up any for the prayers when they free any from those impediments. If yani the time any that pass suffices for them any to perform any ablution and prayer. So for example, if we ask any that person, how long any do you take any ablution and prayer? So she said, for example, any 10 minutes. So at 1:11 any the menses comes. So it is wajib any for her to make up any for the Zuhur prayers, because 10 minutes suffices her any for wudu and prayers. But if it is less any than that, then it is not compulsory any for her to make up for the prayers. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Now yani we will enter yani into the chapter yani of the timing any of prayers. I think let me see. Just let me check the time of Isha, because now 6 since this is a new chapter, we have any 7 minutes to Isha. I do not know whether if there is any question. Huh? So there is no question. So inshallah ta'ala, what we'll do is inshallah we will enter into the next part, the timing in prayer next week, so that inshallah we start afresh in the new chapter. And inshallah ta'ala, in the month of Ramadan, I might enter into speaking about the chapter in fasting inshallah ta'ala. So inshallah by this we stop in our class here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adhaban nar. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.